Hi, everybody. It's Mike Andrew, recently and gratefully retired as a corporate executive, board advisor, and leadership coach. The following video is going to highlight from my experience 3 key behaviors that could derail one off the corporate leadership track. I hope you listen. I want to share with you some of my experiences over the years when I was doing a lot of coaching. When I was coaching people, I would put them through a leadership assessment called the Hogan. Now, the Hogan is, I would say, one of the top 2 or 3 leadership assessment tools in the world. And what I like about it, it shows what are those things that have generated your success so far, and what are those things you better watch out for because they could derail you off the leadership track, off the corporate track. And I'll tell some interesting stories around that. There's so much detail into Hogan. It's very reliable, very valid, a lot of validity. But I'll just pick out 3 that I always look at. 1, I always look at the level of a person's volatility under stress. Do they have a high degree in the danger zone of being volatile, inability to handle stress? And compounded with that is on the other end, do they have a high degree or a low degree of what we call adjustment, the ability to manage stress? So if someone is highly volatile, but they have a high degree of managing stress, I'll give a little slack, but I'll watch it. The trouble is when someone has in the danger zone of high volatility, extreme volatility with inability to handle stress, to handle that volatility, that's a danger. That's a red flag to watch out for. I had an example. I worked for this company one time, and we needed a plant manager quite badly in this manufacturing plant in a war zone country. Obviously, we couldn't find anybody. Well, one time, a person from Lebanon stepped up, and before I interviewed him, I put him through the Hogan. Again, reliable and valid, highly valid and reliable. And what came out was, whoa, extreme volatility and extreme low ability to handle stress and volatility. Easy to see. Now, I interviewed him online. He's got a shirt and tie suit. He looked perfect. He was extremely professional. So I kept down this line of questioning. I don't think he knew what I was doing. But I went down this line of questioning, which eventually led to telling me that over the last 18 months, his company sent him 3 times out on training. And when I asked what training did they send him on, all 3 trainings had to do with stress management. I said, there it is right there. So when I went to the board, I said, look, we can't find anybody, but this guy certainly has the experience, but I have to warn you, this is what the assessment says, and this is what probably will happen. And about 3 months later, one of the board members came to me and said, Mike, remember what you said? It's happening already. So the second thing I look for is one's arrogance and ego, overestimating their value and contribution. Nothing worse than arrogance and ego, being overly bold, extreme in the danger zone, with, on the other hand, a low level of interpersonal sensitivity. I'm sure you've seen these people in the workplace, highly arrogant, low interpersonal sensitivity. Think about what it looks like. You've seen them. I had people working for me that were extremely arrogant and bold, overestimating their value, and low interpersonal sensitivity, 2 extremes. And both of them, one I had to let go. And it wasn't for his performance, it was for his attitude. He made my job as his manager far more difficult than it should have been. And the other person kept begging for a promotion, and I couldn't give that person the promotion. The person didn't earn the promotion, So that's the second thing I look for with the Hogan, highly valid and reliable. And the third is being completely imperceptive. Those people that will say things to someone and not realize what they just said or how they said it or how it came across. And it might have devastated that person. That person might have gone home at night worrying about their job or the way he or she was spoken to with, again, extremely low interpersonal sensitivity. I had a very high level executive that I had just met, and he took the Hogan, just met him in the meeting for the first time. He was extremely in the red zone, imperceptive, saying and doing things to people that had such a bad effect, along with extremely low interpersonal sensitivity. It was so obvious. I pointed it out to him. Of course, he's arguing back at me saying that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, well, all I could tell you is I'm interpreting and it's as clear as day, and that's what I see. I don't see you work every day. I don't know what you like, but I'm telling you what the assessment says. And he disagreed. I saw him in the hallway the next day, and he called me over. He said, Mike, can I talk to you? I said, yes. He said, I was talking to my wife last night. How about what you told me? And she told me to come back in here and talk to you and tell you that you were absolutely correct. So the wife was verifying what I said. Anyway, these are 3 things I look at with Hogan that could derail people off the corporate track. High imperceptive, low interpersonal sensitivity, high arrogance, low interpersonal sensitivity, or high volatility with low ability to handle stress and volatility. So just thought I'd share that with you. Thank you very much for listening.